Flosstube. My name is Becca and I am SamBrie Stitches here on Flosstube and Instagram. This is another special edition of Interview with a Flosstuber. I'm very excited today because I have Julie here. She is Kansas City girl in a Colorado world. I'm sure all of you are familiar with her channel. I have a few things to say about Julie, which is I'm excited to be able to say. I'm super excited.
Hey, out of nowhere with this.
Well, you are a woman of many talents. That was where I was going to begin. And we'll definitely talk about those all throughout the interview, but we know that she stitches, she's starting to design, she does some quilting. But what I think is really cool about Julie is she stands up for what she believes in, and she's definitely very vocal about it. And I'm sure we'll probably get into that a little bit through the interview. But that's what makes Julie Julie, I think, in her videos. And she's also, we have January birthdays in common, and we are both left-handed. So I thought that was pretty cool too.
Yes, we just found out that we're both left-handed.
Yep, I saw your comment. And I was like,
so excited. So cool. I'm like, oh my God, there's more of us.
Yep.
I almost want to take like a survey and see, like, I almost feel like maybe there's more lefties that are attracted to this craft for some reason, because I can think of quite a few.
Yeah, I think that would be good. And like Instagram stories or something, and do a poll, definitely. Yep. But we are very special people. So, so how are you doing today? Are you all ready for the interview?
I am. I'm doing really well. It's my day off of work.
Nice.
So I haven't done much of anything today except for just like read and chill, and I'm excited.
Relaxing on your day off is a must, definitely. So
I always have like quite a to-do list, and I
never do it. Right.
No.
Nice. All right. Well, let's jump into the questions. The first one is, why did you start a Flosstube, and were there any particular motivations?
You know, so I was thinking about this, and I believe I started Flosstube like October 2017, maybe 2018. It was definitely October, maybe it was 2018. I think I got back into stitching in 2017, and then anyway, regardless, I can't remember why. I really can't. I remember like thinking about it for like a month before I actually sat down and did it, but I can't remember what made me go like, oh, I should do that, or I can do that. I was watching Flosstube, and maybe I just thought like, I want to talk about stitching too, you know, like, but I definitely think at the end of the day, it had to be just wanting to connect with people in the community. No one in my real life, you know, was cross stitching. So just to get that interaction.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing we have in common is the October start date, because I started in October too for Flosstube.
I always, every year I forget, like in October, that it's, you know, I think of it in like November. I'm like, oh, I should have done something for my Flosstube anniversary. Yep. Totally missed it. Yep. October's always busy.
It happens. But I think many people celebrate their anniversaries just as like a little bit of a milestone, but yeah.
Yeah, I always miss mine every year.
So the next question is a subscriber question, and they were just wondering if you had a blog of any sort.
I don't. I haven't had a blog since like LiveJournal days, like 20 years ago when I was in college. And I don't think I talked of much of anything important in those days, but no, I don't have a blog.
Might be nice to kind of look back though from like 20 years ago if it's still around and see what was on there and what.
I don't think any of us need to see that. No.
Probably a good point. So how did you learn to stitch, and how long have you been stitching?
Okay, so that is, I sort of answered that already, but I know I started stitching for the first time ever in like 2015. I was still living in Kansas City at that point, but I went on a road trip down to Texas. It was like a 12-hour drive to see my sister who lives near Fort Hood. And I was like, what am I going to do in the car for 12 hours? Like, this is going to be horrible.
Right.
And I remembered my other sister. I have two sisters. My other sister, who was on the road trip with me, had stitched one of those like Dimensions full coverage
Oh, wow.
lighthouse, like a lighthouse scene. And she had stitched it years before. And she had done it. She was working night shift at a nursing home. So she worked on it for like a year on night shift when there was nothing else to do. And so I was like, maybe that could be something I could do in the car. And so I went and I got this, I have it right here.
Cool.
This was my first ever cross stitch. So I got this Thomas Kincaid, right? How crazy was I? This was my
oh my gosh, your first ever. I have that kit and I haven't even opened it.
Yeah, so this is a Thomas Kincaid Disney collection. It's you can get it as like a huge one.
Yeah.
You can also get these little 5x7s where they take the little chunk of it. And I had obviously I knew nothing about stitching. I didn't know that this is not a beginner project.
Definitely not.
I bought this little kit and I truly believed like I might get this done on my road trip. Like that's how naive I was. So it took me the whole road trip just to sort the flosses for that.
I could see that 12-hour road trip.
But so anyway, that was my first like ever foray into cross stitch. And my sister didn't exactly like sit me down and like show me everything, but like she kind of got me started. Okay. She's like, hey, make sure you don't use all 6 strands. You need to pull your strands out, and and then make sure the top leg of your X's all go the same way, which I really appreciate because I don't think I would have realized that.
Yeah, I don't think many beginners realize that. Yeah, that's good advice.
And so that was what got me started, and then obviously a full coverage, super confetti heavy, like just an awful project to start with. So it took me a good 2 years to finish it, and sometimes I wouldn't touch it for a month or two, because it wasn't really fun. That's not necessarily a fun project for a beginner. And so I kind of just was not I didn't have the stitchy bug. I was determined like someday I would finish it, and I did. But what got me like truly like to fall in love with stitching was that, during the 2 years I was working on this, I would occasionally pop into the Reddit cross stitch forum. And one time I was there just lurking around and I saw this other cross stitch that someone had done. And I was like, I need to go buy that right now. And I need to stitch that.
Oh.
And so this was an Etsy pattern. And this is Star Wars Christmas. The designer is called Up2, like the number 2, Up2xstitch.
Xstitch.
Oh, sorry about the ring light glare. So anyway, this was what made me fall in love with cross stitch. And this is definitely a more beginner friendly, it's 3 colors. I mean, it's on Black Ada, so that's a little rough, but it's only 3 colors and it's not full coverage, and it was really fun.
Yeah.
And so this is still one of my all-time favorite projects, but this is definitely what made me love cross stitch.
Nice.
And so from there, it was all on from there.
It's always good and to find something that you are passionate about, because stitching several years ago, there were only like those dimension kits and kits that you would buy in the stores, and now with Etsy and everything, you can get those little kind of like niche patterns and stuff like that, and all the it's so cool. So
yeah, it opens up a whole new world, because when you're just at Michael's or Joann's or those big box stores, like you said, it's just dimensions. You don't even see like Plum Street or Brenda Gervais or like any of the other what we consider big names still. And so I really didn't know there was more to cross stitch until I discovered the Etsy patterns, and then I was like, oh, okay, like it's not cross stitch. There's more to it. So that was finding that pattern, which piqued my interest because it was Star Wars, and then discovering the rabbit hole of Etsy definitely brought me into stitching.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. So you've kind of shown a couple of projects that you've stitched, but do you have a very favorite one or a
I
couple
do,
that you've
and I
stitched?
have it here, and I think it's everybody else's favorite too.
I think I know what it is. Yep, I knew it.
By far, my most popular thing I've ever done.
It's stunning. Like,
so this is Mirabilia Snow Queen, and I stitched her exactly as charted except for her hair. She is like a golden blonde on the pattern, and so I changed her hair to an auburn. But otherwise, it's all the called for, you know, dress and the reindeer and everything.
Stunning.
And yeah, she was so fun to stitch, and everybody loves to see her.
And that was your snow day stitch, right? Because we had referred to that in another interview.
Yes. So after I finished her, we made the hashtag Snow Day Sal on Instagram. So all it is anytime it snows, I work on a designated snow project. So it was this for 2 years, and now it's a Santa project. But basically, if it snows, it gives me a reason to get it out and work on it. And that's why I was able to get her done in 2 years and not just kind of do a little bit and then put her in the whip bin and never see her again. So yeah, she's so pretty. I'll show you guys the back because I laced this myself.
Wow, that's
all that.
Holy
Look at all that
lacing.
Yeah, so I did the framing myself because I knew she was going to be really expensive, and I was really impatient.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you.
She's so stunning that she doesn't need much.
Yep, that's perfect frame, perfect finish.
Frame.
Yep. Wow.
She's definitely my favorite.
Yeah,
and most of you too.
I have that pattern, but here in the Pacific Northwest where I live, I cannot have a snow day project because it does not snow.
I know.
So,
I know. And I have way more snow than, you know, most Americans probably. So I know if you've watched my videos, you've heard this, so I'll keep it brief. But in Colorado, the first snow is usually in September. Maybe just once or twice will it snow in September. And then we get a couple in October. And then it's on after that. And then it snows until May. The last snow is usually like mid-May, which sounds kind of miserable, but keep in mind that the next day it's 60 degrees. So like the weather is actually incredibly mild here, despite that it snows for 6 months of the year. It's amazing. I promise. It's Colorado's best kept secret is that our winters are super mild and super great.
That's so crazy because, you know, when people think of Colorado, they think of crazy, you know,
cold and snow. It's never cold here. Yeah. Wow. I mean, it's cold here like 3 days a year. Kansas City was freezing and icy and sleety and miserable.
We're lucky if we get like a week of snow here, if that. So
yeah, but you guys got like a really crazy snowstorm, or was it last year or the year before?
I think it was last year. It was like a week. Yeah.
Snow.
Yeah. That was awesome. I was in heaven.
I know. I still like a child. Like when I see a snowflake, I'm just like, it's snowing. And everybody's like, yeah, we know. Like it does that here a lot.
I'm the same way. It was supposed to snow last night. And I kept asking my husband all night, I'm like, is it snowing yet? Is it snowing yet? Because it snowed down in Oregon, like where it never snows, but we didn't get any. So
yeah, I know. I still get so excited every time. And I really love the big dumps. Like that's one thing with the way the weather patterns come off the mountains that we like sometimes we just get an inch of snow, nothing crazy, but sometimes we'll just get 18 inches of snow overnight. And it's so like cool. So amazing. It's just so great. I love it.
That's so cool. We've lived in like Connecticut and Michigan, where we've got, you know, dumped on by snow. And it was, you know, at that point you can't leave, your car gets buried, and I love it. You just hunker down under a blanket, relax.
You know, don't threaten me with a good time.
Yep.
At home, don't have to go to work, don't have to go anywhere.
Exactly. I'm good.
Heaven.
Yep, for sure. So what do you enjoy most about stitching? We probably, you know, snow day, hunkered down, stitching.
Yeah, I I mean, I stitch every day. Like it's just a part of my life now, you know, but I think it's kind of centers me and calms me. And I think that must be what keeps me coming back. I like to see a finished project. I like to see, you know, beautiful colors and stitches and fabric. I do enjoy that, of course, but I think it's just the clearing of my mind, like the anxiety calming
Yep.
of stitching that I think is the best thing about it.
Yeah, I think you're not alone in that too. You know, many people have answered like that, and I'm the same way. You know, you have a stressful time at work, you want to come home and decompress, and you zone, you just concentrate on your stitching, and it's amazing. It's such a great hobby. It really is.
Nice, like zen, because it's your brain's still working, but it's just, for me, it's just enough of something to concentrate on that it can take my mind off of things, but it also isn't too much to concentrate or think about.
Yep. So we're going to get out of stitching a little bit, and I think this will probably be one of your favorite questions.
Oh, yes.
It's, what's your favorite genre of book or movie?
So anyone who watches me knows that I like to read, and I talk about books usually at the end of my videos. But so if you've watched that, then you know that my favorite genre is fantasy.
Yep.
By far. My all-time favorite book or series is Lord of the Rings by Tolkien, like, for sure. So just classic fantasy, love it. But I read any kind of fantasy, and I do read actually every genre. I like historical fiction a lot too, but definitely fantasy is my favorite for sure.
Yep. Yeah. I love when you do and a lot, I think because of you, I think a lot more Flosstubers, some of the newer ones, are starting to incorporate talking about books and stuff like that in some of their videos too. So
yeah, I've noticed a few recently.
Yeah.
And I love it. I get so excited. But I think what gave me the idea was Jessie Marie.
Oh, okay.
Jessie really does stuff. And she didn't talk about books in every video, but once I noticed her doing it, I just loved it so much. And I think that's where I got the inspiration.
Yeah. I kind of like the videos where people kind of add in more than just stitching, you know, like they'll throw in the quilting, or now it's knitting. A lot of people are knitting.
Yes.
So yeah, book talk is definitely great.
I like to see that too. I like to see just other crafty stuff. And I definitely think I fell into quilting because of Flosstubers talking about quilting. For sure.
That is on my bucket list someday, to learn to quilt. Love it.
Yep.
So this is another fun one. It's, what fictional place would you most like to go to?
Okay, I thought really hard about this one. I'm not gonna lie, because everybody says Hogwarts, and I don't blame them. But I was like, I have to come up with something else. And I really thought hard, and then I was like, duh, Middle Earth, Lord of the Rings.
There you go, Lord of the Rings, yeah.
I want to see the Shire, which really I just need to go to New Zealand and I can basically see the Shire. Yeah, and I was like, I want to see Rivendell. I want to see Gondor. I want to see Mount Doom. Like, I want to see it all. So I'll go into the Mines of Moria. Like, I don't want to have to battle Sauron and like have life or death, but I would love to just walk around Middle Earth and see all the things.
Yeah, that would be really neat. That would. Yeah, I wouldn't want to do battle either, but yeah.
Right. Because I was thinking about all my like favorite series and things, and I was like, maybe I wouldn't want to go to some of those places because like those people are having some hard times. You know?
True.
Because usually with fantasy, there's an epic battle and, it's dangerous. People die. So I was like, well, I don't know if I want to do all that. And I think that's why Hogwarts is a great answer, because it's relatively, a safe place, but still a very cool place.
Somewhat.
Yeah. So I'd want to go to Middle Earth, after the fall of Sauron.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be pretty awesome. So if you could choose to do anything for a day, what would it be?
This was really hard. I really had to think about this one. I was like as a career or like just as a day.
Could be either or both.
I thought about it and I'm like, I have this day all the time and my dream day, and I was like, it would be to just drink coffee, read, stitch, maybe quilt, maybe order in some food, and just kind of do what I do most weekends. I mean, that's what I like to do, I like to hike and I like to shop here and there, but with the pandemic, that's not been a thing that I do much. So I've kind of gotten over that. And I really, I just like a nice quiet day at home. And I do that day a lot in the last year.
Well, that sounds amazing. I think I'd do that, but I would extend the day longer, like where I could stay up and it be, I don't know, like the day would be more than 24 hours. You know what I mean? Like just an extended nonstop day of crafting and relaxation.
Yeah, I'm with you because I think what's hard for me sometimes with those days is I want to do stitching and I want to do quilting and maybe I want to like organize and play and stash and I can't do all of those because of time constraints and all of a sudden it's evening and the day's over.
Yep. And
and binging Netflix too is in that day.
Yep. For sure. Yep. Binging any sort of show. Yeah. So we've touched on this kind of throughout this whole interview so far, but do you have any other hobbies besides cross stitch?
Yeah, for sure. So my biggest hobby besides cross stitch is reading. I say I probably stitch more than I read, but that's definitely my next biggest thing that takes up time. And and then I quilt, but not nearly to the extent of stitching. Sometimes I won't touch my sewing machine for 3 or 4 weeks, and then other times it's maybe once a week that I get down and do some sewing. So it definitely hasn't become like a feverish hobby the way stitching is. But I mean, definitely that's my other big hobby. And then I would say designing is a hobby, designing some cross stitch, because I still feel like I'm a very amateur, just a hobby. I don't feel like I am a cross stitch designer. I feel like
I think you definitely make a go at it though, because I saw the houses stitched up by Noah, and they're awesome.
He's my biggest fan. I just love him so much.
He's awesome.
He all my patterns, as soon as I put him out, he's the best.
He's awesome. But yeah, I really think you could definitely make a go at,
Yeah, I definitely have imposter syndrome about it. And I know I'm not alone in that because I know some other people who do a little designing have said that too. It just feels like there's this level of Blackbird Designs, Barb and Alma and Paulette and Brenda and all, and I'm way down here. And it's just for funsies for me.
Well, maybe it started like that for them though too, where it started out, they had to start out at the bottom and work their way up. So
yeah, that's a good point. For me, it's definitely just a fun hobby. I'm not trying to make a career out of it. I mean, I guess that would be amazing if that happened, but that's not a goal. I don't have a business plan.
Nice.
And what I do with designing is it's literally just things I want to stitch. I'm not trying to make anything for anyone else. I'm just making something for myself. And then I'm hey, if anyone else wants this, have at it.
That's cool.
But it's just a pattern that I think of that I need in my life that doesn't exist. And I'm going to make it.
Like the one behind you up there?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Right. So I designed this. It might've been October. It was before the election for sure. It might've been September. And I was I need a Kamala pattern in my life. So, and there are a few out there, but I was I can make one.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty cool.
I designed that right before the debates.
Yeah. I've seen quite a few people stitching that too. That's pretty neat. It has to feel really good to see people stitching what you've designed, even if you're not, trying to really make it go at it, but you made that,
It's like I freak out every time.
Yeah, it has to be so cool.
Like someone's like, sends me a picture or tags me, and it's like so surreal.
Yeah.
And so exciting every single time.
That's so cool. That has to be a great feeling.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of my favorite questions. And it's, how would your friends describe you?
Okay, so I asked a friend.
Cool.
And so she said creative, which sure. And then she said loyal. And I was like, yeah, I think that's accurate. I am the friend that will help you hide the body. I'm the like, tell me when, tell me where, let's go. Like,
I can see that. Yep.
if someone messes with my friend, I'm coming to defend your honor. Like, we ride at dawn, let's go. So yeah, I think she got that pretty much nail on the head.
Yeah. It's great to have a friend like that, somebody who has your back and somebody who's like ready to throw down with you. Yeah. That's awesome. We're going to get back into stitching just a little bit. And this one is like, how do you prefer to stitch? Hoop, Q-snap, frame?
Q-snap for sure.
Me too.
I'll stitch in hand, like on a small that won't fit in a Q-snap if I have to, but otherwise Q-snap. I have all the sizes. It's the best.
I love that Q-snaps are interchangeable to the actual Q-snap brand. So you can kind of, make whatever Frankenstein's size you want. So
yes. And let me just say to anyone out there, buy the name brand.
Yep.
Because I'm very cheap and I bought the off-brand ones.
I did too.
Yep. Michaels and Joe. I mean, all of them have their own like off-brand, and I had never actually used a real Q-snap, so I didn't know what I was missing. And so I was using the off-brand and having a grand old time. And then at some point I actually was like, I'm going to buy a real Q-snap. And it is so much better than the off-brand. So the name brand Q-snaps.
Yeah, the name brand holds the fabric so much tighter, but
so much
the off-brand ones, you cannot Frankenstein pieces together, which is weird.
Yeah.
At least I can, but you have to like shove them in there.
Yeah, you can. I mean, I think the ones I got from Michaels, you can, but yeah, they just don't get as tight.
Yeah.
They don't grip as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Q-snaps, 100%.
Yep.
Do you have like a preferred fabric that you stitch with, or do you kind of stitch on whatever?
I like to explore and use all different ones. But over dyed, like, or hand dyed fabrics for sure. Yep. Like I really don't enjoy a solid flat colored fabric. Like I want even just a little subtle like modeling on it. But I will use anything. 40 count is my sweet spot because you can use one strand of floss, and I'm very cheap and miserly with my floss. So you can use one strand of floss, so your floss will last a lot longer, but also like I think it's easier to keep your stitches really neat with just one strand versus two.
Yep.
So that is my favorite, but for all of my designs, I do them on 32 count because I want to see floss usage. And I think I would say the majority of people use 32 count. So I kind of just like model stitch on 32 count or I don't know. I don't know.
It's actually smart because you want to see the floss usage and be able to make sure that, you can speak to one strand or two strands, basically doing it that way.
Right. And like with the houses that I designed, like the first thing I ever designed were my Christmas in Nantucket houses. And as it turns out, like you need a second skein on some of them. If you're using two strands on 32 count. And so I'm glad I was stitching it on 32 count. So I knew that.
Yeah, that helps. I know it. And I like that you actually, stitch your designs because I know that some people will just release their designs prior to having, like a model stitch or something like that. And that's a little bit more common with errors. Like, if somebody wants to kit it up and they didn't get enough of the fancy floss and now the dye lots changed or something like that. So that's kind of neat that you have a process to it.
Yeah, and I totally understand why people do that, but for me, just being so new at it, I needed to stitch it myself to make sure it was right. And you know, I very often will change colors as I'm going.
Okay.
You know, what I charted and thought I would use doesn't look right, and I switch it to something else. When I was stitching my houses, I think, oh yeah, I do have them right here. They're
out of the frame, but you can bring them in.
So this was the first thing I ever designed, this house. And I ripped out the roof. I mean, I didn't do the whole roof. You know, I started and did, you know, a few rows. I probably ripped that out 10 times trying to find the right floss color. And then the windows, I probably tried 8 different flosses before I was happy with the windows. So, you know, so that's just why I would prefer to stitch it myself so I can see what it needs. I'm not comfortable enough yet to send it to a model stitcher.
Yeah.
Because I know there's going to be some color changes. So maybe as I get more confident in what I'm doing, that could be an option. But now
it goes to show how much, you know, time and effort and, you know, everything that you put into your pieces too. So for sure, 10 times.
And well, and like I said, I designed it for myself, so I want to stitch it. You know?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
You know, so I mean, I'm sure I could find a model stitcher, but I want to stitch it myself. So
that does make sense for sure. So do you happen to have a favorite place that you've traveled, and did you bring stitching along when you went?
Yes, actually. So in the last year, I haven't traveled.
I don't know, none of us have actually.
Right. But traditionally, my boyfriend and I travel a lot, but we travel within the US and usually to like the same places. Like we go to San Francisco once a year, we go to Chicago once a year.
Okay.
So I haven't been a lot of like more exciting places, and that was actually a goal for the last year, but that didn't happen. But 2 years ago, right before Christmas, we went to Mexico, and we went to an island off of Cancun, and it's called, I'm gonna butcher this, Isla de Mujeres. Okay. I think it is Island of Mothers, or the Mother Island, something like that. So it's Mexico. You get the beautiful beaches, the beautiful weather, but it's not the party craziness of Cancun. It's like really quiet, really chill. And it was I think we were there for 4 or 5 days, and it was really nice. And I did take stitching with me, and I got to like sit on the beach and, you know, watch the waves rolling in and do a little stitching. I didn't get a lot, but I did a little, and I did a lot on the plane though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the ideal spot, is on a plane or when you're waiting at the airport, you know, definitely to stay.
Yeah. We had, on the way there, we had the row to ourselves. So we could spread a little bit. So nice. I got to stitch. It was really nice. Because I wasn't like this, you know, like trying to stitch.
Right. Yeah. Well, like with me, I do the super long strand, so I'm
right
whacking the person next to me.
Yep.
Well, sure. I love asking this question because it has people thinking back of like the project that they took, and I love projects that have, you know, special meanings or memories attached to them. So this is like one of my favorite questions, you know, because, you know, bringing stitching, you can look at that piece and just be like, oh, I was, you know, in Mexico. And that's,
but I did
love that.
I gave that piece to my sister for her birthday, so I don't get to see it.
So that even has more meaning. I love it. But
I got to tell her, like, this has been to Mexico. Yep. Like, this was on the beach in Mexico.
Yeah, and that's cool. I love when stuff like that is like attached to our pieces, because not only do we put a lot of love and time into stitching it, but then when we take it places, it also just adds to it. I love it. I don't know. I'm a sentimental person, I guess.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally know what you're saying, because you can look at something you stitched and kind of just think about what you were doing, like, you know, where you were at in your life and and what was happening when you were stitching that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Pretty cool. I love it. I really do. So what can you not do without for your stitching? Like your favorite go-to must have besides the basics?
Well, but I mean, this is probably a basic, but like I have to have a needle minder. Like I hate not having a needle minder when I'm stitching. So, that is a must have for me, which I know that's also kind of a basic, but like, you know, scissor, needle, thread is your basic. But
that's what I meant. It was the scissor needle, like fabric type of thing. I think needle minders are kind of an added thing. So.
Yeah. I don't need a lot of frills, but like I need a needle minder.
Yep.
Gotta have it. And good lighting. But that's a basic.
Yeah. I think the needle minders are also fun because one, they hold your needles. You need that. But I mean, there are so many shops and so many sellers now that have just awesome needle minders. So it becomes like a hobby of collecting.
It's so hard because they're under $10.
Yeah.
Most of them are 5 or 6. And so they're not, they're a nice, like approachable luxury for me. Like, fine, $6, fine, like, and so then I just like have too many, but I can't stop because somebody comes out with something new or something cool that I need.
And Abby came out with that kit now in her shop. I saw that, and I saw Noah, I think, was talking about it, which was funny. And that's so cool because she's showing people basically how to make them.
Yes, and I definitely will buy pins, like enamel pins that you're supposed to wear on a jacket or something, and I'll buy them to make them into a needle minder because I just like whatever the theme is of it. But yeah, and I love Abby's shop. I love her needle minders and her web store. It's amazing.
Yep. I just thought that was kind of cool how she did that little kit for needle minders. So where are we? So this is also a kind of a fun one. It kind of lets us see how everybody's minds work. But how do you decide on what you're going to work on next?
Oh, so I'm very, very loosey-goosey about that for sure. It's literally just like what is calling to me. Sometimes if I have too much of like a regimented plan, I don't do well. So like I can't plan too far in advance. I can only do like, what do I want to work on this week? And then even then I might not do it. But I really truly just whatever's exciting me, it's like if I see someone on Instagram post something that I've had that I've wanted to start, and they're working on it, and maybe that's like the drive to make me go get it, or a new pattern. Really, there's a few patterns that'll come out and I've got to start them right away. Like as soon as the mail, gets to
get that.
That I've got to start it immediately. Sometimes it's more like someone mentions something and I'm like, oh, I have that. And I've been meaning to start it. And they're like, okay, let's start it together. And so I'll do that too. But otherwise it's just where the mood takes me. I definitely like a lot of everything. And, and it's just what I'm in the mood for, really.
And I think that
when you want.
Yeah, like that seems to be a common thing. I thought that maybe, and I don't even know how many interviews I've done, I think 40 something, almost 50 something, I think. But that seems to be the common consensus from everybody, is kind of just whatever's calling to them. I thought maybe I would get like a few more planner type people.
There are people.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's people that have like rotations and stuff like that, but I think from the most that I've actually talked to with the interviews, a lot of people are just like whatever calls to them or kind of.
Yeah, I really can't plan too far ahead. I just can't. And right now I'm trying to do no starts for 90 days.
I saw that.
I knew I could not do a year. So I can't start anything until April. And so right now I'm kind of just keeping a mental list of like things that I'm like, oh, I really want to do that. And so that but in April I might feel totally different. You know, April rolls around and I might be like, yeah, I love that project, but like I don't need to start it right now. But if I wasn't doing no starts, I probably would have started it, you know.
Right.
Like,
well, that gets you close to Mania, so you know maybe you can just hold off till Mania and then go.
Gears are turning. I'm trying to think about what I want to do for Mania this year.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah, I saw that in your video of and you have like 3 kind of exception type of things to the no starts, which makes sense because you know.
So I'm super excited. My birthday start. So I don't know when you're gonna air. I don't know when this is gonna air.
This not this Sunday, but next Sunday. So it'll be after your birthday.
Oh, okay. So like it'll be a while.
Yeah.
So my birthday is in 2 days,
yep.
and I'm gonna start the Bella Filipina Bellatrix, and I'm super excited to start that one.
The fabric that you picked out for that is stunning. Like it's so cool. I think I mean I like to pick out the cool fabrics, but I don't think I would have ever like. I've not actually checked out. It was an Extrude.
Yeah, I have it over
yeah. But it
happens to.
Oh, that's such a pretty piece of fabric.
So,
I don't own any of it.
So it looks I guess just so people know what we're talking about, it looks like this.
Oh,
when this pattern came out, everybody freaked out because she's so pretty.
She is.
And so I bought her from Garon Stitchery, and I put her in my cart and I was ready to buy her, and then I was like, well, let me go see like what fabric he has right now, like just not even for her, like I just wanted to see what fabric was there, and this Extrude.
Yeah. See, oh my gosh.
And I was like, and I just was like, oh, what a cool fabric. So I think this side's more pink than the other. And I was like, well, that's a really cool fabric. And then I was like, oh, I think she might look really good on that.
I think she will. Yeah.
So yeah, it's called something witchy pink, I think.
Yeah, it's really pretty. I think that'll match it perfectly. And I know you had mentioned
dress color is the most beautiful, like purpley.
Purples are my favorite color. I love purple so much.
Oh. Yeah. So I'm like, I wanted to start her before Friday. Bad, but I'm waiting.
And I know you mentioned you were changing her skin tone too, in your last Flosstube as well. So yeah,
I think I'm gonna make her. I think her skin is charted maybe just with 2 colors. Like I don't think it'll be a hard conversion at all.
Yeah.
And I think I'm gonna make her just like a really pretty, like mocha kind of color.
I think that'll be good. Yeah. I get that. She's very pale in that. In that picture, at least. I don't know what she started with, but she's very pale. So
it's like DMC 945, like that's what everybody's skin is.
Yeah. I think she's going to be stunning. I can't wait to see the progress. I'm sure many people are going to be
so excited to start her.
Yeah. So we are down to the last question, and this is my favorite. I say it in every interview. I love asking it. Because we're pretty much a month in, we can start with doing, 2021. As far as what's the best thing that has happened to you so far this year?
So yeah, we're 3.5 weeks into 2020.
Yeah, so, about that.
But some great things have happened. So when you sent me the questions like preemptively, so I could prepare for our interview. The best thing was Inauguration Day, January 20th. Our first female vice president. I'm still so excited about that. That by far was just the best day I had in a while. Really, that was a great day. But then, not to diminish that day in any way, but then this past Sunday, the Kansas City Chiefs made it to
right
again. So they made it last year. They won the Super Bowl last year, but they are going back. So think it's February 8th, Sunday, February
I
8th.
think so, for Super Bowl.
So and now if they lose, then that will not be as exciting.
It's still huge that they made it though. So
but they're there.
Yeah.
They're there. So ooh, is this gonna air on Super Bowl Sunday? Isn't 2 weeks?
I
A week
think
and a
so.
half.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Oh, well, that's perfect timing.
Really awkward or really great.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
my Chiefs are back in the Super Bowl. I feel a little greedy, 2 years in a row, but
it's exciting. It is. So you've had a great 3.5 weeks or so.
Yeah, right?
2021. So
yeah.
That's awesome. Yay.
It's been a good 2021 so far for me.
I hope it has been a good 3.5 weeks for so many people, because I know last year was rough for a lot of people. So hopefully it started out much better this year. But
yeah. I think just like being able to say like it's a new year. I know like things didn't magically change on January 1st.
Yeah.
But it really does feel like a rejuvenation, like a start over. Like let's see what see what we can do this year.
Yeah. I think many people didn't think it was going to be like bam 2021 everything's fine, but there's an improvement. There is an improvement that has happened within this first few weeks. So
yeah, I guess I should say the other great thing that happened is I got my second COVID vaccine. No, so I got my first one in 2020. But I got my booster, my second one, 2 weeks in, I think.
Nice.
So yeah, so 3 really great things. It's been a good month for me.
Yep, it's been a very good month. So awesome. Well, I'm glad. That's a good way to end it. To end the interview. I really, really appreciate you taking time on your day off out of all of your relaxing time to do this interview. I was very excited.
I had nothing else to do. Don't worry.
But and I'm sure so many people are going to enjoy the interview. You were one that some people had requested that I do an interview with. Not only did I want to talk with you, but I mean some other people also. So wanted to.
Oh, that's lovely. I actually really love these interviews. So
good. I'm glad.
I'm glad that you came up with this and it started it, because I mean, especially when it's someone I already watch, I just get really excited to just get to delve a little bit more into them instead of just stitching. It's really fun.
I really enjoy doing them. One, because I get to talk with you guys that I normally wouldn't, we wouldn't interact with as much except for on social media. But 2, it also not only delves deeper into like some of the more well-known floss tubers, but I've also tried to introduce some newer floss tubers as well. It's kind of cool because they'll reach out and be like, hey, I'm here, if you need somebody to interview. And it's a lot of fun because we all discover new floss tubers as well. So it's a lot of fun. I love it. So
yeah, I think they're great. And I do think that, I find new people.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm
glad. And that is the whole purpose, was just to bring joy and happiness through the rough, 2020 year, but then everybody wanted it to continue. And so I'll continue it as long as y'all say yes to being interviewed. So
keep going. Keep going with it, for sure.
We'll keep trying. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for everything. And we'll say bye to everybody on Flosstube.
Bye.